would you describe the state of cybersecurity right now, and where are the biggest threats coming from?
Well, I have a long answer to that and a short answer. I'm going to give you my short answer. I've lived through about 4 different waves or phases of cybersecurity, and we're in the 4th. And what I mean by that is right now we have modern nations engaging in cyber operations and there's just no rules of engagement. Nobody knows what the rules should be. What's off limits, what's fair game, how do you conduct espionage? And we just know espionage goes where the secrets are, and the secrets are on media right now. And also because there's no risk or repercussions to cyber operations, meaning it's hard to figure out who's doing it. A lot of times it's like a gray area. People don't know if they're doing the right or wrong things in cyberspace, but that's kind of the phase we're in right now. We're seeing a lot of attacks from nation states against nation states. You know, I don't think the gloves will come off yet, but there's just different signals being sent.
It's interesting you casting it in this idea of right and wrong, given that there are attacks that are okay?
It depends on perspective, right? I mean, every nation wants to defend itself. Every nation wants to know other nations' secrets. So if you look at geopolitical conditions, there will always be espionage, there will always be some kind of ideological differences. So yeah, I think every nation is developing a modern capability for cyber operations, and we just haven't figured out as a global community how to operate.
So how would you describe threats from Russia versus China versus North Korea and how they have evolved?
Well, they're all different. They're all getting better, right? I mean, as the defenses get better, the offense has to get better.
So break it down for me.
So I will. The Russians are great at this, you know, and they know how to be surreptitious and they know how to commit operations, but they cannot operate at the scale and scope that the Chinese do. The Chinese recently, especially in the United States, have been operating with some rules of engagement. They used to have a broad berth of targeting, they've narrowed the targeting, but they're a little more obvious. They don't do as much counter-forensics, but they're often more widespread. North Korea, a little less predictable. They hack for multiple purposes. They hack to make money, they probably hack for espionage purposes, but they also hack to be destructive. And then if you look at other nations, we've even seen Vietnam get on the radar, and we've seen other nations start to do compromises. Iran is getting very big in cyber operations as well. So all of them have a different level of capability, different targeting, and different counter-forensics, and different fingerprints they leave behind.
Any insights into who's behind the hacks at the Olympic opening ceremony? There's speculation about Russia because they were banned for doping.
Mm-hmm. You know, from right now, from the information that I've seen, I'm not sure who's behind it. We don't have attribution at FireEye just yet, but that's another example of anytime you do a major event, there's no risk of repercussions to folks who attack it. So you have to do your physical security at these major events, but you also have to do your cyber security.
So how is cybersecurity spending changing relative to last year, and what is the exposure of FireEye?
I haven't noticed a big change in spend. Right now I do know if you're hacked and you know it, the impact and consequences seem higher than in the past. And I think it's gone up and to the right over the last decade. It used to be when you're hacked and you know it, it was a business problem. But it's gotten to be much larger now. So when you're hacked and you know it, the bottom line, consequences are growing. Therefore, you have more board attention, more CEO attention, and people are making sure that at least they get a good ROI on the spend they have in security.
This is a business that's becoming full of Me Too competitors. Have you seen any market correction from that?
You know, I don't know if I have. I keep looking around. I go to the RSA conference every year, and I can't remember how many companies are there, but it's thousands of companies proclaiming to do cybersecurity, and it feels to me like there's only 10 or 11 ideas. So I question how much or how many companies the market can support, but thousands feels like a little bit too much to me.
So what is FireEye, how does FireEye stand out from all of these Me Too competitors?
We all say the same thing, but what makes us unique is there's a lot of companies that are pure product companies. We actually do our market research by responding to every breach that matters. So as we're on the front lines responding to these breaches, we have an amazing vantage point. How are attackers evading our technology? What is the threat intelligence, meaning who's attacking who, so you can assign risk in your industry. For example, hey, today there's a Russian attack group interested in attacking the energy grid or whatever it might be. You want to see those trends, and we see them on the front lines. We have nearly 1 million hours of frontline investigations every single year, and if you take that and put that into your products, we're finding the needle in the haystack every day with our people, and that's all software ever is automating human process, and I think we've developed the innovation cycle to do that.
Do you think we'll see more consolidation?
I think so. I think that's more likely than not, right? Again, you saw cybersecurity become a marketplace in the last decade, maybe even within the last 6 or 7 years. Thousands of companies have run into this marketplace. Not all of them are going to survive. There's going to be a lot of losers and some winners. So I think during that opportunity, there will be consolidation.
So what gets bought, who survives, who
You know,
falls
every
to the
company
wayside?
has their different strategies. You know, I like to meet the founders and make sure that the genesis of a company makes sense. What they're doing aligns with their experiences, their passion, and there's a lot of companies that do make sense, but there's a lot that don't.
There's perpetual talk about Symantec buying FireEye. Bloomberg has reported talks have become quite advanced. What is the latest on that?
Well, I'm not going to comment on that. At the end of the day, we focus on what we can control, so we're focusing on our internal execution, and we're worried about, you know, let's get our products out there, let's make our deadlines, let's do the operational things we need to do as a company to be built to last.
So going into this year, what are the hotspots, the biggest hotspots that you are watching?
I think there's a couple. If you're speaking just tech, I think the threat landscape's going to be there. You know, if there's no risk or repercussions to hacking, the problem's not going to go away. So what you have to do is look at the defenses. I think endpoint is an area that really matters. You have to have an endpoint security tool or endpoint product that detects what antivirus misses. There's a lot of people out there that go, thank God I have antivirus, and thank God antivirus caught this malware on my machine. The reality is that malware might have been there for 8 months and antivirus is just detecting it. So I think endpoint's hot. Obviously, you want to do analytics. You want to have machine learning models. You want to be able to replace the legacy security products with more modern technology.